We decided to make amends to ourselves in the last couple of days, and haven't been in touch with Moonee Valley at all, so I presume that they would do.
Your life's about to change again. It's already changed once by having Sunline. It's about to change again in about a week's time, isn't it, without her?
Well, especially after 5 years of having her and being, she's been fantastic all the way through, and so far we've had no problems with her, and she's just been really terrific for us.
Trevor, she ran a magnificent race in the Yolanda. Can she improve on that performance?
She has improved a little bit on that performance, and as I say, she'll be extremely hard to beat this week.
What are you doing with her this week? Does she go to the Breakfast with the Stars?
She goes to the Breakfast with the Stars. It's something we've done for the last 3 years, so can't see why we should change the format.
And Trevor, just finally, what happens to her afterwards? You are going to sell her, I believe. Is that still the case?
This is a distinct possibility that she will be sold. So the money that's on offer for her is just too big to turn down, and we've had disastrous results from breeding from other ones, so we'll probably stick to racing the horse and not breeding.
Can I be cheeky enough to ask you, what sort of money have you been offered for Sunline?
No, I wouldn't like to divulge that, because the other parties have made it known that they don't want to divulge at all.
Well, she's won $11.5 million. She's been a once-in-a-lifetime racehorse. Thanks for coming up and confirming that today.
Very good. Thank you very much.
So, Trevor McKee telling us here that Sunline's run next week in the Carlton Drop Cox Plate will be her final race start. Let's see how the horse is paid after the Norman Robinson.
And the winner number 1, Platinum Scissors, returned 3.30 and 1.50. 4 Hydrometer 3.10, 5 Ain't Here 2.50. Quinella 18.80, and the Trifecta $230.20.
Day is the Snow White Cleaning Coonji Handicap. Used to be run on the Wednesday for many years. The final lead up to the Caulfield Cup. Not now, on Caulfield Cup Day, with $100,000 Group 3. Here's the field.
Number 1, Mr. Bureaucrat, Adrian Robinson. 2, Society Bow, Damien Oliver. 3, County Tyrone, Jim Cassidy. 4, Eagle Rhythm, Kieran McAvoy. 5, Mr. Lofty, Luke Curry. 6, Sail of Century, Darren Beedman. 7, The Pumper, Greg Childs. 9, Burley, Darren Gauchi. 10, Little Miss Quick, Craig Williams. 11, McBeal, Michael Rodd. 12, Minster's Pride, Wayne Davis. 13, Paestum, Reese McLeod. 14, Readiness, Lonigan Millam. And 15, Southern Crown, Craig Newitt.
Well, Mr. Lofty's open favourite down here in the ring at about $3. Society Bow's a $5 chance. And then we go out to $6 for Paestum further down the field. And Eagle Rhythm also open at about $6. And Burley's being kept safe at about $8 as well. But at the moment, Mr. Lofty, $3 in front of Society Bow at $5.
So Mr. Lofty favourite with the bookmakers. Let's have a look at the pre-race totes.
Number 1, Mr. Bureaucrat, 17.10. 2, Society Bow, 6.20. 3, Tyrone, County Tyrone, 23.30. 4, Eagle Rhythm, 6.60. 5, Mr. Lofty, 3.40. 6, Sail of Century, 32. 7, The Pumper, 8.20. 9, Burley, 13.50. 10, Little Miss Quick, 22.80. 11, McBeal, 31.30. 12, Minster's Pride, 139. 13, Paestum, 11.20. 14, Readiness, 38.20, and 15, Southern Crown, 22.10.
So that's what they're paying Mr. Lofty at $3.40. Max Presnell, you've been on fire with the last couple of winners. Who are you going from the Coonji?
I thought Society Bow could win this race. Society Bow's won 8 out of 16. We noted his run in the Toorak last Saturday, where Apprentice Craig Newitt hit him in a tender spot, and if that hadn't have happened, I think Society Bow would have finished closer to the place getters, and under those circumstances I think he's got good form for a race like this.
And Graham Samperi going for Mr. Lofty. Damien Oliver to ride Society Bow today. That'll be race number 5, the Coonji Handicap. Race 8 today is the first leg of the most famous double in Australian sport. It's the Carlton Draft Caulfield Cup.
When the cavalry charges for the Cup, where will you be looking? At Fields of Omar flying?
Northerly holding on, you're a champion.
Or will it be this Top Gun from the West? At Fantastic being fantastic. There's Republic Lass from Sydney and the Arab Sheikh's Beekeeper, a beautiful stallion from another world. The cavalry charge for the Carlton Draft Caulfield Cup, coming up this afternoon on 7.
crowds, as we said, really rolling in here to Caulfield on the $2.5 million Carlton Draft Caulfield Cup Day. Tough time for the jockeys at this stage of the year. Plenty of money to be won, but boy, do they have to make some sacrifices, as Neil Kearney is about to explain.
If you've ever felt so hungry you could eat a horse, then Brad Rawiller here knows just how you felt. Brad, you've had to lose 2.5 to 3 kilos in the last couple of days just to ride slalom in race 7.
Yeah, started off on Wednesday. I was 57 that morning. Had to have a sweat to ride 56.5. Then rode 55 on the Thursday.
So what pleasures have gone past your lips in the last couple of days?
Pretty much nothing. I had a Thursday night after winning the Moe Cup. Couldn't have a drink at all. I would have loved to have been able to celebrate.
And you had a beautiful orange this morning.
Yeah, that was basically it. Just because I had to have a sauna this morning, and you've just got to be able to just be putting something in. So I just sort of had an orange, as well as I'd frozen actually an Adam and Sale sports drink last night, and you just sort of suck away at that, the ice.
Suck away at it. You don't drink it. You suck away at it.
Don't drink it. Well, you drink it.
So how would you feel now about a nice juicy steak with a few chips, maybe some wedges, a big frothy Carlton Draft?
Sounding sensational. Looking forward to it.
Win race 7. I'm sure the sponsors will be out there.
I'll be slowing them down. Don't worry about that.
Brad Rawiller there with Neil Kearney's only ride for the day on slalom in race number 7. I'm going to barrack for him after that, aren't you?
Yes, Neil actually made me feel thirsty.
Well, Bart Cummings has a thirst like everybody else. He has a thirst for winning big races, including Caulfield and Melbourne Cups. Not today, unfortunately, but the Cups King is with Peter Donegan.
One gentleman whose name is synonymous with the big cups at this year is Bart Cummings. But Bart, it's a shame you won't be there with Magical Mist, but I believe you've got some good news for us.
Well, if it is good news, yes. They say that the break in their shin bone is not as serious as they first thought. It's not necessary to pin it. It's in a normal cast, and they expect it to be okay in about 5 to 8 weeks. So that's good news, because originally we thought it was far more serious than that, well, the vets did.
I know you've had these things happen to you over the years, but does your heart still sink when something like this happens just before a big race?
Well, you get disappointed, especially for the owners and the jockey and all the staff. They work pretty hard for a few months, and it's a big letdown for them. Naturally, you've got to consider everyone in some team spirit. So my job's to try and cheer them up. So a couple of wins and they'll be right again.
Of course, in some ways, the preparation began on Oaks Day. I think we spoke after the Oaks, and she looked an ideal Caulfield Cup horse then. So it's really been a 12-month preparation.
That's right. She gave every indication last year that she'd be an reach weight for age star class, Group 1, and she's more or less proven that. So it's nice to think that maybe she will come back.
Finally, you know what it takes to win a race like the Caulfield Cup. You got a fancy today?
You need a good horse, really. But I think Northerly's proven himself, and although he's got a bit of weight, Fields of Omar is a weight for age winner with less than weight for age, so he's obviously weighted to win. And Pentastic stays very well. If the pace is fast, he should have an opportunity to finish over the top of them. So it's going to be a great race.
Bart Cummings, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
The Cups King, 17 Caulfield and Melbourne Cups between him, 6 plus 11. Say it quickly, 17. It's an amazing figure, isn't it?
It certainly is, but he's an amazing trainer. In fact, I think it goes beyond that. I think he's a genius.
Caulfield Cup totes, Northerly, with 2 hours and 20 minutes to go. Bart's #1 tip. Let's see what they're paying.
1 Northerly, 5.30, 2 Universal Prince, 14.40, 3 Sandmason, 110, 4 Helene Vitality, 14.40, 5 Fields of Omar, 5.80, 6 Freemason, 39.80, 8 Rain Gauge, 16.30, 9 Beekeeper, $8, 10 Campstead Way, 54, 12 Dash for Cash, $8.30, 13 Pentastic, $9.60, 4 Prize Gym, $51.60, 15 Republic Lass, $14.40, 16 Distinctly Secret, $48.60, 17 The Second Mortgage, $18.40, 18 Tully Thunder, $50.20, 20 Hale, $55.60, 21 Grey Song, $167.
So that's the approximates at this stage with 2 hours and 20 minutes to go. They're in the mounting yard for the Snow White Cleaning Coonji Handicap, 2,000 metre race. Good class of horse here, worth $100,000 at Group 3. And here's Mr. Bureaucrat, terrific form in Queensland in the winter. Took all before him with the Doomben Cup, the Hollandale and the Bernhardt. Struggled a bit in Sydney. Last start 7th in the Craven Plate.
Yes, Bruce has struggled in Sydney. Took a little time to get fit. He's fit now. Perhaps he could improve, but I think the word struggle, I think you've got to wonder just whether he has recaptured that Doomben form.
Speaking of good Queensland form, number 3, County Tyrone had that. He won the Queensland Derby. Now, he's been working up a bit. He was 10th in the Hill Stakes and then 8th in that Craven Plate.
Hasn't really fired this preparation either, but nevertheless has been running in unsuitable races. This is County Tyrone's chance to put his best hoof forward, and perhaps that could be good enough to win the race.
Eagle Rhythm had all the luck at Cranbourne. I say all the luck. Kieran McAvoy rode a spectacular race, but he finished it off. He was 6th in the Gold Nugget before that. And at Easter time, he won the Victoria Handicap here.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty handy horse, Eagle Rhythm. And when you look at the form line, 19 starts for 7 wins, he's certainly got to be one of the top hopes.
Up and coming Mr. Lofty. He won at Flemington. He beat Euston in the last race of the day on Turnbull Stakes Day. He was 3rd in that Gold Nugget, which has proven to be a very good guide. He's won 5 out of his last 8.
Yeah, looks nice. Obviously a horse on the up, and from the 6th gate should get a nice run, and under those circumstances be very hard to beat.
Sale of Century, number 6, was 8th in the Caulfield Cup on this day last year, but his stocks have been lowered a bit. He won a Rosehill Guineas as a 3-year-old. At his last start, first up in the Epsom, he was the last horse home.
Yes, and the jockey commented after the race he needs another lap. Well, he doesn't get it today, but it's a longer journey, and if he returned to his best, he'd make his presence felt.
One of the favourites just coming into the yard is Society Bow. He was the horse that pig-rooted in the Toorak Handicap last week, where he finished 7th. Prior to that, he'd won 4 out of his last 7 starts.
Look at that rib and muscle. I think he's prime for today. He's the way to go.
Well, here's the Pumper. The Pumper just won the previous race. Jim Cassidy, the jockey. Greg Childs to ride. It's a bit of an enigma. 9th at Flemington behind Mr. Lofty. Dubai Cup 10th before that. Ran 5th in the Memsey.
Yes, appears to be striving to reach top form, but only had 14 starts, so there's still scope for improvement. Looks okay for today's engagement.
Now, Zevdar's a late scratching number 8. Now, here's Burley. Had no luck in the Emirates Classic here when it finished 8th. Was 12th at Morphettville prior to that. Did win the Birthday Cup in South Australia, which is a Group 3 race.
Yeah, I wondered whether Burley would have the class to win a race like this, but there are some good judges tipping Burley, and like just about all of the John Hawkes horses, looks magnificent.
Little Miss Quick, number 10. Craig Williams, who we spoke to earlier on the telecast, to ride here, his first ride for the day. She was relegated to 2nd at Flemington on protest over 2,000. Winter form in Adelaide was very good.
And you've got to respect her because she's only had 12 starts, and she's just getting up over a journey to which she should shine, and it'll be interesting to see how she goes today.
Another mare, McBool, also from South Australia, Tony McAvoy. 7th at Flemington last start, 7th behind Fantastic before that. Has good Caulfield form, 2 wins, 1 placing from 5 starts.
Yes, but certainly her last start performance was below what you would expect, but horses can do that. She's got a nice glow about her today.
Probably the longest odds of any horse today is Minster's Pride. His 2 wins have been at Hanging Rock and Kyneton. Last couple of starts, 9th at Ballarat, 11th at Sandown.
Yes, was listed by a Sydney bookmaker at 1,000 to 1 this morning. Whether the locals will be as generous as that, I don't know. But Minster's Pride, well, who knows? The great uncertainty of racing. There have been bigger upsets, but not many.
You're being kind today, Max. Peston, number 13. Good form line. He's been up for a while. 3rd at Flemington last start behind Mr. Lofty and Euston. 2nd in the Winter Cup and 2nd in the Grafton Cup. So he's been doing some travelling.
Well seasoned and very, very fit. From the 3 gate, I would imagine that he would be right on the pace if he doesn't lead. Perhaps that could get him into a place.
14 Readiness. Now, this horse is on the rise. It's just whether he can get to a Coonji handicap at this stage. Last couple, one at Moe and then at Cranbourne over a similar distance.
Yes, up very sharply in class here, but you can never underestimate potential, and Readiness has some of that.
And rounding out the Pat Highland trained Southern Crown was favourite in the Banjo Patterson, the 2,500 metre race on Turnbull Stakes. They finished 7th there, was 2nd at the Valley prior to that. Did win at Caulfield in August.
Yes, well, normally you would say that he might be struggling, but has drawn the 2 gate. Craig knew it up. perhaps he could do something at long odds.
Well, the favourite in the race is Mr. Lofty. It could be a big day for trainer David Hall. Here's Peter Donegan.
David Hall, it's probably just as well you didn't lead Luke Curry up on this, because you'd almost need a stepladder to get him on. He's a big horse.
Yeah, he is a big horse, Pete. He certainly takes the eye, and big white blaze, and in his size, he stands out a hell of a lot.
He's got a lovely long loping stride too. We saw that at Flemington. Back to a little bit of a smaller track here at Caulfield.
Yeah, look, I suppose that could be some concern. The rail's out 6 metres, and it's important to keep him balanced because he is a big horse and he does like to be comfortable. But and he's been here before and fallen over, but I don't think it was to do with the actual tightness of the track, so it shouldn't be a problem.
The form looks all right when you see Houston finishing just behind you at Flemington, and then he ran a terrific race behind the 2 champions last week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the form around Mr. Lofty and the Gold Nugget race at Ballarat is all sort of panning out with a host of winners, and even Kabila won the Maui Cup on Thursday, finished behind Mr. Lofty's last start. So the form's solid, and the horse is sort of ready for the 2,000 metres now. Perhaps the hard track is you know, of some concern, but there's no reason why he won't handle it, Pete.
Last year in the Melbourne Cup, Ethereal had 13 saddlecloth and drew 13 barrier. In the Caulfield Cup this year, 13 saddlecloth, 13 barrier for Fantastic. How do you feel going in?
Yeah, you know, I'm not sort of superstitious about the number at all. It's been quite popular in the Caulfield Cup, so yeah, that might be a good barrier and a good number to be. But look, the horse has had a really good preparation. Really happy with his work through the week, and it's one of those races where you certainly do need some luck in the run. There's you know, going out of the straight the first time, I'll be a little bit anxious to see where we end up. But you know, if they make any mistakes up front, I'm sure the little fella will be there nagging at the heels at the finish.
You never know. I might be talking to you at about 8 minutes past 4.
I could handle that, Pete.
David Hall, good luck.
Thank you.
Pretty relaxed, isn't he? David Hall there with Peter Donegan. He has Mr. Lofty, the favourite here, and the highly fancied Pendastic in the Carlton Draft Caulfield Cup. On these great days, there are so many wonderful horses, but there's always one that stands out. Last week it was Sunline. Well, today it's the crowds that are flocking around Northerly, the favourite and top weight for the Caulfield Cup. Lofty and our Eagle Rhythm. Wolf Blast, the owner of Eagle Rhythm, so well known as a famous winemaker in the Barossa Valley region. He's raced some good horses over the years. This might be his best one. Eagle Rhythm, Cranbourne Cup winner last start. Hale ran third in that race. He's running in the Carlton Draft Caulfield Cup today.
Eagle Rhythm too is out of that very good race mare, Our Tristolite.
It's Mr. Lofty. Here's Southern Crown. He's been up for a while. He can stick, but probably just ran out of puff. He didn't quite get the 2,500 at Flemington last start. Eagle Rhythm, Kieran McEnvoy is a wonderful jockey, and a bloke that knows all about him is another South Australian, John Letts.
Yes, Bruce, gee, he looks well too, Eagle Rhythm, a grey horse, and as you know, grey horses are hard to see whether they look very well, but this horse looks beautiful in the coat. His condition looks terrific. Kieran looks very confident on the horse. He's relaxed. The horse, his last win was a very good win at Cranbourne. I just watched that race on the TV, and it was a beautiful ride by Kieran McEnvoy, but he's going to need a little bit of luck today from barrier 13. The top weight looked very well too. Mr. Bureaucrat, I know his form looks pretty ordinary, but gee, looked well in the down here, and also number 2, Society Bow, caught my eye a bit. He looked very, very well. Number 7 at the moment, Bruce, is actually a horse called the Pumper, and they're putting the comfort rug on him, which slow, as you know, if you can explain to the listeners, this rug actually settles the horses down and makes them feel a little bit better when they walk in the barrier. It seems to give them that little bit of confidence when they walk in, horses that play up. But the Pumper looked very well, Society Bow looked very well, also Eagle Rhythm looked well, Mr. Lofty looked well, and the horse, I know his form looks pretty ordinary at the moment from the Johnny Hawk stable, Sale of Century, but he was the one that really caught my eye when I first got round here. But I did like Society Bow. I think he looked well, and so does Eagle Rhythm.
So John Lett's pretty impressed with what he's seeing behind the line. There's Mr. Bureaucrat. As I said, he swept the board in Queensland, Doomben Cup, before that the Hollandale and the Bernhardt. But he just hasn't quite gone on with it in the spring. Mr. Lofty, just an up-and-comer. Just don't know whether he can jump up to this grade, but he did beat Houston off last start.
Mr. Bureaucrat just went out of our picture there, Bruce, but he looks better today than he has at Randwick. So if his form improves like his appearance, he'll run a big race.
Peston, number 13. Good solid form. Been about the place. There's the Pumper. They've got him in with the blanket, as John was telling us. Craig Newitt goes up on Southern Crown. Is Pestham about to come up? Reece McLeod for Tony Noonan, the trainer. Mr. Lofty's out of point in the ring. It's County Tyrone who won the Queensland Derby. Probably needs to show something today. Jim Cassidy riding him. He's already ridden one winner. That Little Miss Quick goes up. Craig Williams, the jockey. So for Craig, a real chance to get his Australian legs back as a jockey. He rides the second mortgage in the Cup. He got the ride after Stephen Baster unfortunately broke his wrist here on Wednesday. So here's Mr. Lofty drifting in the betting ring at the moment. So he's getting out to probably around about 3/4 to each way odds.
Well, you can't fault his appearance. It wouldn't be because of how he looks.
Readiness goes up. Last couple of starts he's been successful. 8 the late scratching there. So 360 for Mr. Lofty. Society Bow pretty rock solid at 550 and 640 for Eagle Rhythm. So a couple to come up. The favourite's gone in, Mr. Lofty. The Coonji Handicap for 2002. Here's Brian Martin.
Eagle Rhythm's gone into line now and waiting on Burley to come up with McBeal and the Sail of Century, the last cup. 2,000 metre start affected here. It's the Coonji, run on the Saturday this year. Burley goes in alongside Mr. Lofty. Right on starting time as McBeal comes along and Sail of Century. Platinum Scissors, great trial for the Derby in the previous with Auburn Robinson. And up comes Sail of Century and they'll be set to go. Now they're ready. Outside of Minster's Pride, inside gate. Line good. Now blinking, off and running. Mr. Lofty missed it about a half length towards the middle, and Southern Crown, Minster's Pride and Payson began quickly. Burley further out from Readiness. Mr. Lofty picks up ground from the outside, Eagle Rhythm. Further back then the Pumper, followed by County Tyrone, Little Miss Quick, Society Bow, Mr. Bureaucrat, McBeal and Sail of Century at the 1,600 metre mark. Payson on the outside here of Southern Crown, led a half length. A length of Burley, and Eagle Rhythm's out, working out 3 and 4 deep, but he's going forward, the grey up third. Burley now fourth from the middle, easing back, and Readiness the fence, 2 to Mr. Lofty, a half Minster's Pride. A length further back, Little Miss Quick there, followed by the Pumper. 2 lengths further back then Society Bow from County Tyrone. A length and a half then to over on the outside Mr. Bureaucrat from McBeal, and 2 last of all Sail of Century. Eagle Rhythm was caught deep and he was committed to go to the front on the grey and over the top of the hill. Eagle Rhythm leads a length and 3/4 to 2 to Payson. A half further back Southern Crown third, 2 lengths further back then Burley fourth. On the outside of Readiness, followed by Little Miss Quick 3 deep. Mr. Lofty back in the middle running 7th. Minster's Pride the fence, a length and a half to Pumper and Society Bow. 2 to County Tyrone, further back then McBeal. They're followed by Mr. Bureaucrat deep, and 2 last of all in the race is Sail of Century. At the 800 metre mark, and it's Eagle Rhythm a half length in front of Payson. Little Miss Quick has gone up third, the outside, a length into Southern Crown fourth. 5th is Burley. Mr. Lofty 6th and out 3 deep, starting to move into it. Readiness on the fence. A length into Society Bow going around the outside of the Pumper. A length and a half Minster's Pride. County Tyrone, Mr. Bureaucrat, McBeal and 4 Sail of Century. At the 500 metre mark, the sprint on here. Eagle Rhythm just from Payson, followed by Little Miss Quick. Mr. Lofty going up in the purple and green up on the outside, 4 deep. Southern Crown, Burley behind those. Then Society Bow, homeward bound. Eagle Rhythm from Payson when they flatten out. Further out is Little Miss Quick and Mr. Lofty picking up on the white face, coming down the outside. Then Southern Crown and Society Bow is running on fairly well. It's Mr. Lofty out deep and Society Bow getting to the front. Mr. Lofty just in front. Little Miss Quick fighting back. Mr. Lofty's got his head in front, nearing the line. Mr. Lofty, a short head, Little Miss Quick and Society Bow. Southern Crown behind those from County Tyrone out deep. Then Eagle Rhythm, Payson followed further back by Readiness, and further back in the race then, pulling up quickly as McBeal. Further back then Burley. A gap in the race then came Sail of Century, followed by the Pumper. Last couple home are Mr. Bureaucrat and Minster's Pride.
Good solid win to Mr. Lofty. Luke Curry for David Hall. He's now won 6 out of his last 9, and he's got some winning form in this spring over Little Miss Quick and Society Bow. It was a good finish, but he always looked the winner. Little Miss Quick gave plenty, but on the turn he was poised to strike was Mr. Lofty. He'd had a good run all the way. Little Miss Quick was also there. She was going to be in the firing line, and Payson looked a good chance at this stage in 3rd spot. Eagle Rhythm was leading, but Mr. Lofty seemed to have Little Miss Quick's measure. Society Bow's outside of him in the orange colours, just trying to wind up as well. Eagle Rhythm on the fence. Little Miss Quick under pressure. Mr. Lofty's put his head in front. Payson battling back, and then Society Bow on the outside. He's probably a head in front at this stage, getting out to a half neck, Mr. Lofty. Little Miss Quick battles back, now he's got to get everything out of him, Curry, and he does. Society Bow not too far away in third place.
I just wonder whether that incident concerning Society Bow last week when he pig-rooted, he was hitting a tender spot with a whip, might have come against him today, because Oliver didn't seem too keen to get at him with the shillelagh. He seemed to want to get in. Once he straightened him and got him balanced, he finished on, but still it was a very game performance of the winner.
Well, he's going well, isn't he, Mr. Lofty? David Hall spoke to Peter Donegan before the race, and now he's with Peter after the race as a winner.
We spoke about the fact that Mr. Lofty is a big horse. It's just as well he had a big head. He was able to stick it out on the line.
A big nose comes in handy, doesn't it, Pete?
Well, you're looking at me when you say that. He's a very consistent animal, is he?
Yeah, he's very genuine. He's you know, look, I spaced his races, given him a lot of time, and you know, reaping the rewards now. So it's, you know, it was great for him to win today.
And you just had a quick look at the head on the big screen here, and it looked as though he went straight as a gun barrel up the straight.
Yeah, well, I was involved with a protest with Little Miss Quick at its last start, so I didn't know whether they wanted to square up with me, but no, I think there's no problems there.
What do you think you might do with him now, David?
Look, it's an interesting one. We're sort of still sitting in the middle of, you know, whether we take him up to 2400 or whether we bring him back to the mile. And my preference is to perhaps I might run him in the Emirates on the last day.
And he'll appreciate being back at the home track as well.
He will. He'll love Flemington. He'll love a fast run mile, and he's probably guaranteed of getting a start now, which I think was what I was sweating off on. And you know, that might be the call for him.
David Hall, congratulations. Good luck for later on.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, Luke Curry, gee, excited Luke, Group 3, Mr. Lofty. I see Vinnie Hall's been riding the horse, and David Hall's rewarded you to ride the horse today.
Yeah, Vinnie is a good mate, Vinnie, and he just couldn't make the weight today, so kept his shrews a little bit behind him. So.
Luke, he's a big horse. You had a good run in transit, but then you had to give him a bit of room in the straight, didn't you? Because he just likes to lengthen his stride and get going, and the horse just seemed to be, once he got out in the open, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, he does like a bit of room. I sort of come out a little bit earlier to give him that room, but in saying that, I didn't want to go through him too soon, because last time when he won, he just floated a little bit when he got to the front. He still did today, but he did a good job.
He's a promising horse, and he's Group 3 level now, and he should go on a little bit better than this because it was a tough win today.
Yeah, well, he's pretty settled in the run, so you know, he gets a trip as good as anything.
Congratulations, Luke, and hopefully you're back on him again.
Thank you.
Luke Curry there. Interesting, David Hall suggesting maybe the Emirates on the last day, the big $500,000 mile race for Mr. Lofty.
Yes, wouldn't be beyond him. Good win today. I still wonder about the depth of that form though, Bruce.
Well, he had the right run, but he produced a strong finish, and he's in winning form. He's now won 6 out of his last 9. Those figures you don't normally see in thoroughbred racing at a good quality this time. They're 35.39 the last 600 and 23.77 the last 400, and the overall time was 2:02.58. Eagle Rhythm, not a bad run in 5th place, probably only beaten about a length, forced to go up early, 3 wide and then go to the front.
Beaten by the barrier, I'd say, Bruce. The fact that Mr. Lofty was only having his 13th start today too, I think that signifies that he will get better too.
No doubt about that. So the favourite winning the Coogee Handicap today on Carlton's Caulfield Cup Day.